So we're still continuing with factorization techniques, and moving on to example 7, we have a quadratic trinomial. And like I said previously, I personally like to use the cross method. Some students and other teachers do like to use the PSF method. I guess ultimately do what's comfortable for you guys, but I'm going to do it using the cross method. And for those students who's curious to know how the cross method works because you haven't been using that, I'm going to show you how to do that here. And maybe you'll find a couple of things that might be just a little bit nicer and more efficient. So for part A, let's go x squared plus 8x minus 20. So the only disadvantage with the cross method here is that the method kind of seems a little bit magical, where you'll be guessing a few numbers, and if it works, it seems to work out quite well. But also there might be a bit of a guessing game as well. But I would say that you would reach the point once you do a lot of questions using the cross method that you will notice that you build this intuition where you don't have to continually guess. It almost comes instantly to you guys with a bit of practice. It's sort of strange to say that, but it's students who use the cross method and are quite proficient at that at this point in time will know exactly what I mean. You would reach a stage where you just don't have to guess anymore. You can see the answer from the get-go. So I'm going to use a different color. So this is what you do, right? So you look at the first term, and you basically want to go, what two things will multiply to give you x squared? It's just x and x, and you write them one beneath each other, like that. Then you have a look at the very last term and you go, that's negative 20. And you ask yourself a very similar question, what two things will multiply to give you negative 20? Now we've got a couple of options here, but I'm going to go with positive 10. So I'm going to go positive 10, lots of negative 2 will give me my negative 20. And we would write that down on the right and one underneath each other. Okay. Now notice that there's more than that combination that will multiply to give you negative 20. You could have used 4 and negative 5, for instance. But I'm going to use this one here because I know it's going to give us the answer, and I'll show you how to check that now, right? So what you do is you rule a line off and you multiply diagonally. That's where the name cross method comes from. So basically what you're going to go ahead and do, and this gets a little bit messy, but it only helps you visualize what's going on, is you're going to multiply those two things. So x times positive 10 gives you 10x. And then you're going to multiply the other cross. X times negative 2 is going to give you negative 2x. And when you simplify the algebra, you get 8x. And as long as the 8x is exactly the same thing as the middle term, you have basically correctly found your factors. Right? So essentially what you're going to do, if I can get rid of these parts here neatly without ruining anything else, is because the 8x matches the middle term, these two are your factors, and all you do is you write them next to each other. X plus 10, x minus 2. Okay? If you get the situation where it does not match the middle term being positive 8x, it just means you've used the wrong combination of numbers. So if you used negative 4 and 5 previously, you're not going to get your 8x. You'll have to guess again until you get the 10 and the negative 2. That is the annoying part with the cross method. However, you just got to do a few of those questions, and then you would reach a point where you realize that it's actually not that bad and it's not that much of a guessing game. You would build the intuition to know that. Let's moving on to the next part here. 3x squared minus 4x minus 4. And the first thing I want to point out is there is a difference between part B and part A. Part B is what we call a non-monic quadratic trinomial because we have a 3 in front, whereas previously in this one over here, if you look at my cursor for part A, it's got a coefficient of 1. It's called a monic. Now the 3 makes a bit of a difference here because it's a little bit more annoying because there's more factors to guess. But anyway, you follow the same technique. You've got a 3x squared and you ask yourself what two things will multiply to give you 3x squared. 3x and x pretty much is the only possibility. I always write the larger number on the top there, so the 3x goes on the top, the 1x goes on the bottom. It's just nicer visually to see. Do the same thing for the back end, so then negative 4. What two things multiply to give me negative 4? There's a variety of possibilities, but I'm going to go with a positive 2 and a negative 2. So notice that a positive 2 and a negative 2 will multiply to give me negative 4. Right? So then what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply, and hopefully the algebra gives us a negative 4x. So let's rule a line there. Now this time around, I'm not going to sort of draw those little ovals to multiply. We're going to do that sort of visually, or mentally, I should say. So x multiplied by 2 is 2x. And if you multiply the other way around, 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. Simplify the algebra down here. If you have 2x and you minus 6x, you have negative 4x. Notice that matches the middle term. That's great because these are your factors. So therefore, 3x plus 2 brackets x minus 2 are your factors, and you put them side by side. So that's how you go about using the cross method. If it's the first time you're using cross method because you've been using PSF in the past, it may look a little bit strange, and once you have a go at a few of them yourselves, definitely the first few, you're going to find it quite annoying because there's so many combinations to guess. Persevere through it because you would reach the point where you would have this intuition that you can just see what the correct factors are. And a lot of the times, I'll be honest, once you have a mastery, you see that quadratic trinomial, you don't even have to do the middle step. You can visualize and see that's the answer there. So it is a little bit efficient if you do master that, but I know it's not for everybody. So if you want to stick with your PSF, that's perfectly fine. Hey everybody, if this video helped you, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It supports the channel and helps me keep making more free content for you. I'll see you guys next time.